Welcome. I'm Gayathri and I'm passionate about transformative coaching in the realm of life and leadership. My journey towards coaching started with an educational background in psychology and over 20 years of corporate leadership. Today, my commitment to help unlock limitless possibilities within each individual has culminated in the creation of my organization, Realize to Win. As a certified master coach, my philosophy centers around the power of the human mind and its boundless capacity for growth and achievement. My approach is rooted in the belief that with the right mindset, training, and guidance, there's truly no limits to what you can accomplish. My work is just not about reaching goals. It is truly about redefining the very boundaries of potential. Join me every week on my podcast, Catalyze Your Self, where we can dive into mindsets, experiences, and practical steps that will ignite your transformation towards limitless possibilities. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Catalyze Yourself, where we dive deep into the strategies that help all of us live a more fulfilling life. I'm your host, Gayathri, and today we are exploring another powerful concept. The pivots you make drive your destiny. The whole idea of this episode came to me from a few different places. I was recently reminded of how, as humans, we can train ourselves to be comfortable and be in comfort with absolute toxicity, where what's happening is not healthy for our mind, spirit, and body. To the point where, when we are faced with healthy conditions or the options to move to it, we find it uncomfortable and we reject that change that comes with it. Another prompt that made me want to focus on this topic came from a couple of different conversations I had, one from a coaching conversation and one with one of my friends on navigating change most effectively. As I was reflecting on this, I kept coming back to three different things that we need to keep in mind. The first is our ability to reframe perspectives as an important skill we must develop if we want to navigate change. The second is that we must recognize that comfort must be seen as a place to pause, rest, reflect, and recharge versus a place to stay in forever. This is because discomfort is the only place that allows for growth. Staying in comfort means that you're stagnant. You're being stagnant and you're not growing. And three, we must realize that growth that comes with change is the key driver for our limitless potential. Embracing these three ideas would help us pivot proactively, strategically, and with autonomy and empowerment. When we choose to wield change, we pivot to what is coming our way and what we shift to make our way. Once we decide to, it becomes clear that the pivots we make drive our destiny. And in our session today, let's take a little time and dive into what this means for us. Every response to life's unexpected turns is a pivot, a turn in a new direction. Today, we're going to unpack how these pivots can be strategic moves that can shape the very trajectory of our lives. Before I go into anything else, I want to take a moment to highlight the term destiny. When I put this down as my focus topic, I knew I would need to take a moment on this because we all have different perspectives on it. Depending on the perspective we hold on to with this concept of destiny, it can be a complex intersection with deep questions about life's meanings and the nature of the universe and the human experience overall. Philosophically, destiny is very much associated in many cases with the notion of fate, suggesting that certain events are destined to happen regardless of individual actions. This philosophical view, is exploring the balance between determinism, which is an idea that all events, including human actions, are determined by causes external to the will, and free will, the capacity of individuals to act independently. So, destiny is the balance of the two when we think about it philosophically. And overarchingly, when we look at it from a religious perspective, destiny is linked to divine providence, where God has a plan for everyone, and this divine plan dictates one's destiny. What truly fascinates me what I find most empowering, regardless of either of these perspectives, is the role of the human, the individual on the path. For those of us who believe in the divine, we know the divine plan is for us to achieve our limitless potential. What we choose to do with our lives determines how much of that potential we will achieve. Similarly, for those of us who lean towards a philosophical view, recognizing that we are consistently faced with factors outside of us that affect our path, we also know it is what we choose to do with these factors that determine our fate. Our decisions, our actions are what molds our destiny, not just the circumstances by themselves. Now, regardless of our preferred perspective, we have a commonality when it comes to reaching destiny, which is our limitless potential in this lifetime. The intentional choices we make when faced with the need for change determines our drive towards our limitless potential. And these intentional choices are the pivots you make. When faced with a crossroad, the direction you choose truly redefines your path. It's about taking that control of you, whether the change is initiated by you or something that was brought to you by external circumstances. And these choices, these pivots, are what will drive us towards our destiny. There are points where we decide what we want to be, who we want to be, and what we want our lives to look like. When we think of the concept of a pivot in a personal and professional context, it embodies intentional, strategic, proactive, and empowered change. It is about making a conscious decision to shift direction or strategy, not out of necessity, but as a means to better align with our goals, our values, or our changing environment. Pivot in all what we've been speaking about so far is conceptual. And it can also be literal. And it's a word that makes me chuckle every time I even think about it. Because no matter what serious scenario I'm working on to pivot from, I remember Ross from Friends yelling, "Pivot, pivot, pivot," to Chandler and Rachel as they ask for them to adjust the angle of that couch they're struggling to carry up that narrow staircase. The whole scene to me was so hilarious, and I'm sure it was funny for a lot of people out there, not just because of how the actors delivered the scene themselves, which was brilliant, but also because of the absurdity of the situation and Ross's increasingly desperate and ineffective attempts to manage that task, making it, for me, one of the most memorable and funny moments in that series. All in all, that is a lesson of how pivot does not work. It was not a proactive, strategic, planned out change. And it was being given as instructions without a clear pathway of how to do it. And as a result, hilarious, yet not a successful change. A pivot, at its core, represents a proactive change rather than a passive reaction. And being proactive asks you to recognize your autonomy, engage your initiative and embrace change. Even when external circumstances, such as an inconveniently placed narrow staircase, economic shifts, industry trends, or personal life events present a need for change, the decision to pivot is an exercise of autonomy because if it is a change that you are intentionally choosing to make. While you cannot control external events, you can control you and your responses. The decision to pivot, how, when, and in what manner lies completely within your scope. Having said that, what we know is that intentionality in choosing change is directly connected to the autonomy you have. Autonomy, the ability to make decisions independently, is a powerful contributor to mental health and well being. When individuals feel that they have control over their lives and choices, they're more likely to experience higher levels of psychological and emotional health. So, what this would also say is when you get the space where you are able to make pivots in your life, and you're pivoting your life to keep the trajectory towards your potential, you're more likely to be in a healthier mental space. There are many studies on the benefits to our mind when it comes to autonomy. And there are few, they call out a few different things. One is autonomy helps to build a stronger sense of self. When people make their own choices, they affirm their values and their capabilities, and it boosts our self confidence. Autonomy allows us to navigate away from situations that could feel oppressive or misaligned with our values. And this navigating away is nothing other than you pivoting away. Autonomy is a key driver of our intrinsic motivation. When people feel that they have the choice and the freedom, they are more engaged and committed to their activities. This is especially true in all settings, especially education, workplace, personal life, irrelevant. Autonomy is an ability to be autonomous allows you to be more effective in who you are. Autonomy equips you to handle challenges and setbacks just more effectively. Making independent decisions fosters, cultivates, builds your problem solving skills and your ability to adapt and be flexible. And these are all crucial for mental resilience. We know this. And if you're in a place where you find that there's an opportunity to build more autonomy for you, there are a few strategies that I will share with you. Autonomy, or your ability to make your decisions, is a critical element that allows you to pivot. And building this for you will create more ways for you to continue your growth towards your highest potential. So let's start with the first one. Learning to set and maintain personal boundaries. This is very crucial for developing autonomy. It helps us protect our mental space from tension that is caused by environments that are not healthy or respectful to us. Another way is to start taking steps to develop strong decision making skills. And yes, this is decision making is a skill that needs to be learned and practiced to get better at. And we all know that not all decisions we make can be good decisions. So the goal is to learn how to make the most effective decision based on the scenario you're facing. Enhancing your ability to make decisions confidently, even in uncertain situations, it reinforces autonomy and its psychological benefits. Another way is to take up all opportunities you can to encourage your exploration and experimentation. It could be trying out new hobbies, different career paths, or simply learning new skills. Exploration fosters a sense of independence and self discovery. And the last one that I would highlight here is to support yourself or surround yourself with support systems that empower and provide non judgmental support. Support systems, this could include family, friends, mentors, coaches, whoever it is that you choose to have in your world, should aim to empower you rather than control you. Providing guidance while respecting individual choices is key to promoting autonomy. Now, this always brings many of my conversations back to young people. So let me highlight that here. For young people where the prefrontal cortex has not developed fully, this becomes even more important. The goal here is not to discourage decision making. The goal is to indulge decision making. Um, Sorry, I take that back. The goal is not to indulge decision making for the sake of an entitlement to it. The goal is to provide an environment of learning where informed and intentional decision making happens to allow that young person to get better at it because this is a skill in life that will absolutely help them achieve their highest potential. Choosing to pivot is also about taking initiative. It is an assertive move to harness a situation, turning potential setbacks into opportunities for growth and development. Choosing to pivot also requires a mindset that embraces change. The three that stands out for me are one is mindset of resilience. Building resilience is crucial as pivoting often involves stepping out of comfort zones and facing new challenges. Second mindset is adaptability. Being adaptable allows for the adjustments needed along the way, ensuring that the pivot remains aligned with its intended goals and unforeseen challenges that could come our way. And another one is growth, continuous learning. As new situations arise from pivoting, continuous learning is vital because it allows us to adapt and optimize our strategy regardless of how dynamic your environment is. By embracing autonomy, initiative, and change, you are setting the foundation to make successful pivots when, where needed. And when you break it down, making the decision to pivot itself involves a few deliberate steps. So let me break down the steps. The first is you assess the situation. Focus on the current situation to identify and determine what is the need for change and is there a need for change. And this current situation you're looking at could be something that was brought by external factors like the loss of a relationship, changes in technology, new regulation, inflation that can impact your work, or it could be a situation that was brought about by internal factors like your personal ambition, your passion, etc. What this assessment would involve, regardless of what factors brought it up, would be for you to look at the success of existing methods and the potential for new direction. Then you envision your thoughts and possible options and their outcomes. Start by imagining and thinking through possible futures and outcomes that could arise from various changes. This is about setting a new vision that aligns with both your professional or personal aspirations. This is about making that intentional decision that will keep driving you towards your destiny. Next, you make strategic plans. Once a new direction is chosen, you've decided, you should detail plan the next steps required to achieve this goal. This includes the time, who, resources you need, what are the potential risks and challenges. And finally, you act. You take the intentional action that comes with your intentional decision to make this change. The essence of pivoting lies in the recognition that change is not an inevitable consequence of external forces, but it can also be a strategic choice that individuals and organizations can actively manage. By choosing when and how to pivot, you exercise control over your trajectory, shaping your future in alignment with your desired outcomes. This is a proactive approach and it to change and underscores a powerful dynamic. You're not merely subject to change. You are an active participant in its direction and its scope. When we recognize that destiny is our limitless potential and is the result of our limitless potential, and it's shaped by what we choose based on who we are within and what the external world places on our path, the concept of a pivot becomes a crucial tool in steering that destiny. A pivot is essentially defined as a significant change in direction. It's a change in direction, strategy, approach, and this effectively redirects your course, your path, and thereby moving you towards your highest potential. So, how does this practically look for us? Let's break it down. So, first, life choices. Every major decision, whether it is career, relationship, education, lifestyle, can be seen as a pivot point. These decisions are crossroads where you choose a path that will shape your future outcomes. Another one is your adaptive reactions. Pivots occur in response to unforeseen circumstances. It could be economic downturns, it could be personal crises, or unexpected opportunities. The way you choose to react and adapt to these situations can truly redefine how your path looks going forward. And the other aspect in real life change, how change and pivot can play is proactive change. By consciously deciding to pivot, for example, changing your career, starting a new relationship, moving to a new city, you're taking active control of your life's direction. And these choices are expressions of your own agency that can dramatically alter your life's trajectory. In the same token, you can have responsive adjustments, which is when external factors come to you requiring some sort of change. And your response, how you pivot, can transform potential challenges into opportunities for growth and new direction. Goal alignment, regularly assessing whether your current path aligns with your long term goals and values. If discrepancies arise, a strategic pivot can help you realign your actions with your desired outcomes. This is the next concept is something that I highly recommend we have in our life, because there's a lot of awareness, self-awareness that we can have, but there could be blind spots. You need to know yourself the best, but you should always have some sort of trustworthy, non-judgmental feedback loop in your life. And that can come from your successes and failures. It can have come from your non-judgmental support system. And this allows you to make informed pivoting. This continuous loop of action, evaluation, and adjustment keeps you agile, and it keeps you oriented towards your intended destiny. Another space where pivoting comes is where you leverage opportunities. The environment we're in, whether it is social, economic, physical, it presents continuous opportunities or threats. Identifying when to pivot in response to these external elements can lead to strong positive outcomes that significantly can shape our destiny. Speaking of threats, mitigating risks. Pivots can also be defensive strategies to mitigate risks posed by environmental factors, ensuring that your trajectory is not derailed by external pressures. And personal growth, the impact of pivot on personal growth. Each pivot is an opportunity for personal development. The skills, insights, and experiences gained through these transitions contributes to a richer, more resilient personal narrative. And you know what pivoting does? It expands your view of the world. Your vision expands. Pivots broaden your perspective. It exposes you to new ideas, possibilities. This expanded vision inspires further pivots, perpetuating a dynamic cycle where each pivot is feeding into the next, and it's continually moving you towards your trajectory of your unlimited potential. In the context of destiny, shaped by choices and environmental influences, pivoting is a proactive strategy that empowers you to navigate towards your future. By understanding when and how to pivot effectively, you're maintaining the steering wheel of your destiny, driving towards a future that aligns with your aspirations and your values. This dynamic interplay between pivot and destiny highlights life as a journey of continuous transformation, where the art of pivoting becomes essential for achieving a fulfilling and purpose driven life. In essence, the pivots you make drive your destiny. This highlights that the choices and changes we embrace are not just reactions to our circumstances, but active decisions that carve our path forward. By strategically managing and executing pivots, we can steer our lives in directions that offer personal, professional fulfillment, ultimately moving us towards our destiny. As we wrap up our today's episode, I would ask each of you to remember that pivots you make, big or small, are the steps you are taking towards your limitless potential. Embrace them as opportunities that shape your future. And if I can support you in this journey, please feel free to reach out to me. I am a life and leadership coach. If you want me to email you the highlights of what I covered in our episode today, please feel free to connect with me and I can do that also. As always, I will leave my contact information in the podcast description. Thank you for tuning in to Catalyze Yourself. I'm your host, Gayathri, and in today's discussion, I hope inspires you to seize every opportunity to make intentional choices of change and make powerful pivots in your life's journey. If you found this episode insightful, please do share with those you care about. And until next time, I hope you will continue to love yourself, build your strong mindsets, and intentionally choose to be limitless.